Hello everybody and welcome back to Genshin Impact. Today we're going to be talking about the Raiden Shogun and why I think they're absolutely bonkers good. No, like seriously bonkers good. Let's start with just brief explanations on how the character works. Normal attacks, they do normal attack things. The skill is a skill that you can cast every 10 seconds but will last for 25, so you do not need to be casting it off cooldown, but since it does 187% damage at level 8, it does pretty good damage. While the skill is active, it will be an off-field thing similar to Fischl's Oz, where it'll be doing coordinated attacks with your party for 67% of the Raiden Shogun's attack. And while this thing is active, if you cast another character's elemental burst, they will have the elemental burst damage increased based on the energy cost. So it's 0.3% bonus damage per energy cost. So for characters who have 80 damage bursts, like Jinkyu, like Zhongling, I know I did them backwards, don't mind me, we'll be getting a basically 24% damage boost for a level 8 Transcendence Baleful Omen, which is pretty strong on top of their already hard-hitting bursts. Speaking of bursts, let's talk about this wall of text. So the bottom line is, Raiden's burst will gain damage and resolve stacks based on when your other characters pop their bursts. As you can see, you gain resolve stacks when characters use their bursts, and Raiden gains these resolve stacks. You gain bonus damage per resolve stack, and the amount of stacks you get is based on the energy consumed on the other character's bursts. Which is a lot of text to basically say you want to pop other characters' bursts first before you swap to Raiden Shogun and use hers. Also because Raiden Shogun will be regenerating energy for your party while inside of her burst. So, in case you're kind of confused about all of that extra text for the Raiden Shogun, here's how the playstyle ends up working out. You mostly want to start on the Raiden Shogun and pop her skill, so that everyone's dealing with coordinated attacks. Then you would run through the rest of your party, attack with them, pop their skills, and then pop their bursts, pop their bursts, pop their bursts, then use the Raiden Shogun's burst after the fact. Because they will be gaining bonus damage based on the resolve stacks gained from other characters popping their bursts. Now you don't want to farm resolve stacks, because while you can go all the way up to 60, the amount of time you would waste keeping Raiden Shogun's burst in downtime equals to more or less a net DPS lost with how much damage this burst does. Its base damage is 640%. I've hit, I believe, 50, 60, 70Ks on a medium investment Raiden Shogun. You might be like, Phil, what do you mean medium investment? You got their skills to level 8. This is my free-to-play account. They're level 79 out of 80. They have a level 80 prototype Star Glitter, and they have solid, but not perfect, artifacts. But that's the bottom line about the basics of the skills. This is a co-op skill as far as I can tell. I don't think I've ever noticed it happening in solo play, but I could be incorrect. Regardless, it's just you gain more resolve stacks naturally. This, however, is the most important one. You gain extra energy recharge and electro damage bonus for each 1% above 100% ER, which means that the bigger this ER number is, the better the bonuses you get are, but you don't want to go insanely into it, and it is not a flat thing. It is scalar in that you don't have to be going up 1% to get that bonus. Like, you don't have to go up the... Sorry, wrong skill. You don't have to go up the 1% to get the 0.6. If you go up 0.1%, you'll go up 0.06%. If that makes sense to you. Hopefully it does. Speaking of basics, let's talk about weapons. Prototype Star Glitter, if you're super free to play and you haven't done your fishing yet, it's pretty dang good. It has ER as a substat, it has pretty decent base attack. You're going to be using the Raiden Shogun with normal attacks. Your cooldown is just fast enough to be able to double stack the magic affinity here, making their normal attacks be much stronger. Personally, I highly recommend the catch if you can get it, because holy cow, this passive is stupid. This is only an R2 because I just haven't been fishing enough, and I haven't been jumping into other worlds to fish enough on my free-to-play account, but it is an incredibly powerful weapon, including the fact that it increases the burst crit rate, which means that if you don't care as much about their crit rate on their normal attacks or their skill damage, you can actually sacrifice a little bit of crit rate in your artifact stats. Say, for example, right now, I have this cup that has 13% crit damage on it, which is wonderful. But I have, where is it? Where'd it go? Hang on. Hang on. Here we go. Here's a great example. Apologies for fumbling where my artifacts were. I have a crit rate mask circlet on. I could probably swap this out for a crit damage one if I had a fully refined catch, because that extra crit rate would more than make up for the lack of crit rate in my build. But that's kind of a personal preference. I still think that you should opt for that sweet spot of around 40 to 50 baseline crit rate on every character, and then just try and stack as much crit damage as you can afterwards. You can toy around with it a bit more using weapons like the catch and any crit rate or crit damage weapons that you could find. I personally think that the Prototype Star Glitter and the catch are the best free-to-play options for the Raiden Shogun because of their ER stacking so well with her passive and helping her get her burst up so often. Speaking of ER, just build Emblem of Severed Fate. Just build Emblem of Severed Fate on her. It is like the exact perfect thing for her. It will make her burst hit like a moving freight train. It'll make it so that she gets it back faster. It'll boost her electro damage because of the extra energy recharge percent. It's just one of the best things, and it's so easy to farm because you can farm 2 artifact sets at once. So, that's the basis of Raiden Shogun. That's how she works, that's how I recommend weapons, that's how I recommend building. I will give a caveat to weapons. Like I said, these are just like the best free-to-play options. Like, this thing exists. If you already have it at max refinement and you have great ER artifacts, go for it. This thing exists if you're using as more of a main DPS, go for it. But in my opinion, these are the best because of the ER. If you have 5-star weapons, they're probably better. I think the only there's only 1 or 2 5-stars that won't compete with the catch as far as weapons go, because the catch is just so strong with the increasing burst damage and increasing burst crit rate. So let's talk about team comps, because team comps are a very important part of Raiden Shogun. Opening with a caveat, as of the time of making this video, Beidou here does not work with the Raiden Shogun, and it makes me incredibly upset. Although I don't have Beidou leveled on my free-to-play account, if Beidou worked with the Raiden Shogun, I would level her up in a heartbeat. As for squads, this is my ghetto version, my makeshift, my hodgepodge version of the Raiden national team. I don't have Bennett on this account somehow, despite all of my wishing that I have done on all the banners. My free-to-play account luck is weird. I have a C1 to Luke, but I don't have a Bennett. This is my makeshift version. I just have Jean as the healer slash buffer slash debuffer in place of Bennett. It works just fine. The reason that this team is so good is that Jiangling and Jinkyu have high cost bursts that will give tons of resolve stacks, and they do tons of damage, and they are both off field with them. So, Jinkyu pops burst, rotates out. Jiangling pops burst, rotates out. Jean also works, as does Bennett. Both of them do the same general playstyle of having a short cooldown ability, do a big AoE burst that heals and buffs, or in Jean's case debuffs because of Iridescent Venerer swirling. So basically, the other 3 units are just there to throw everything out, and then you can swap to the Raiden Shogun and pop her burst and do big damage numbers with it, all at the same time. It's great fun. Another team that I've personally been enjoying a lot recently has been the pure electro-charged team, where it's Raiden Shogun, Jinkyu, Fischl, and Jean. Now Fischl, because you don't use her burst a ton, feels kind of weird in this comp, but it causes lots of particles to be made and lots of electro-charge to happen. So you get bursts off cooldown very quickly, and it allows the Raiden Shogun to pivot from being a support to high damaging burst characters to being a main DPS. This is kind of all down to personal preference. Raiden Shogun can play as a support wonderfully for any number of units, and I think she's great, and I think you should pull for her if you have squads that can make her fit. For now, thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out. This video went way longer than I expected, but hey, when you talk about a character you like, you're going to talk about him a lot, right? If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave them in the comment section below, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye!